Okay, hello everybody. Let's see. Okay, I hope everybody is doing well. We will have a quiz a little later today. Anyway, are there any questions before we start? Okay, so let's see. Everybody, or most people, I don't know if everybody did, but many people participated in the homework on the website, to the forum, where you're supposed to talk about a Python tutorial that you found. And I suggest that you check some of those to see what people posted. And they described the quality of the tutorials. So there may be some there that are worth checking out. So I encourage you all to read the other posts from the other students to see if there's anything that you might find interesting or useful. Okay, so today I want to go to the Coursera course first and talk about how we're going to set up our Python on our computer. They say, sometimes they say, set up the Python environment. So it just means how you're going to install Python and how you're going to use it. So I want to do that now. So let me share my screen. Okay. And we should all go to the Coursera course. And the course that we want to go to, let's see, where do they have my courses? I've signed up for quite a number of courses there, so I have to choose the right one. Where is it? Well, I think it's called Python for Everyone. Python for Everyone. Everybody. Python for Everybody, which is here. And I'm already in the course, so I can click this yellow button. And I think I asked you to complete week 1 on your own. So you should have gone through these. And this. Next is week 2. And we want to talk about installing and using Python. Let's just check the forum first to see if there's anything there. So I'll click here. So how can I complete week 2? Python installation links, additional installation instructions for Python 10. How can I complete this task? And so on. I wonder what this is about. This is from the teaching staff. So on most Windows 10 computers, you can easily add the python.exe to path during the installation. So let me just explain that for a minute here. So if Windows is a operating system, and sometimes Windows, like I want to be able, basically, for example, if I go to the command prompt, I want to be able to type like Python, and I want Windows, or I want the command prompt to know what I'm talking about. And I want it to know where to find the Python program, because if it doesn't know where to find it, it can't really respond properly. So, so it has to be able to find it, and it's located somewhere in my computer. So I might do a search to see where it is. Let's see if I can do that. Python.exe. And let's see if I can find that. I don't want to run it, which is what might happen if I do that now. Maybe this is where it's low. No, that's something else. Let me see. Open file location. Let me try that. Okay. So now I can see where it's located. But I found it, but that doesn't mean like that actually the computer will find it if I type in Python at the prompt. Now I know that it will because I already set it up properly, but it might not have. It might not have found the Python prompt, the Python program to run this. So now I can see where it's located here, but as I said, Windows may not, for some reason, may not know where it is. In that case, you can tell Windows where it is, so that from then on, it will find it. So the way you would do that is you would take this path here, C, users, this, that. You can copy it like that. And then you use what Windows calls environment variables. And so that's what I want to find, the environment variables. So you look for that. And we're going to talk about the concept of a variable in programming, and it's the same concept actually. Okay, edit the environment variables here. Now this is obviously not the same on Mac. So here it is, and here you can click this button here. So these are what are called the environment variables. So there's one called this, and there's one called this, and there's one called this, and this, and this, and these are all different environment variables. There are more of them here. And also there are more here. So these are what are called the system variables, and this is like specifically for you. So usually you want to work with the system variables, not the ones specifically for your user. So I want to go to the system variables, and the one that tells where different things are located or where to search for them, that one is called the path. Now, sometimes there's one called with a small letters here, and there's another one with capital, and I usually get confused, but here actually there is no capital one, so no confusion. Okay, so here is the variable that contains, like, tells Python where to search for stuff. So I want to make sure that it knows about where Python is. So I want to add that location, this location that I just copied up here. I want to add that into here so that it's going to search in there when it's looking for stuff. So I have to edit it. So I don't need to create a new one. It's there. It's called path. That's the one that you have to work with. So click edit. And now I can see that these are in there. Now it's funny that it's not in there. Does that mean it can't find it? I think it can find it. Let me just check. Let's see what happens when I hit that. Yeah, it finds it. So I guess there may be some other system whereby it finds the program. maybe when I installed it. Well, I'm not sure how that works, but it did obviously find it. But if it doesn't find it, what you would do is you would just create a new one here. You don't want to change any of these, so you don't want to edit any of these. These are other places to search for different stuff. You're saying, oh, always check here and here and here and here and here whenever you're searching. But anyway, you click new because you want to create a new one, and then you would just paste in that path that you copied. And then Windows will also search in here when it's searching for stuff. Now, I'm not going to do this because apparently it works anyway, so I'll just cancel it. But if you run into that problem, you can just search for the environment variable, which will give you this. And then you just click on this and do what I just said. You go here, and in the system one, you click on this path and edit it. And then make a new entry and add in the path that you want to include in where Windows should search for programs. Okay, so that is the idea of the path variable and the environment variable. Okay, so that's what they said. On most Windows 10 computers, you can easily add this to the path during installation. So you can do it when you install Windows. I'm sorry, when you install Python. You will be prompted to do that as soon as you run the installer. There will be a box you can check, but sometimes you might have to manually edit the path in order to get Python to be recognized in the command prompt. So I think what she's going to say is here, edit the path like we just said. Okay? She says, do not delete anything that's already there. All right, so here's where they maybe talk about it here. So there are different locations that it could be in. Now mine was not here, although could have been there. Let's see that. Let's check on C Python. Maybe that's why it didn't have that path, because it was actually it's actually located somewhere else. C Python 27, no. Okay, so this is Python 2.7. We're using Python version 3 something. So this is not the one we want. Anyway, we saw one location and we could have added that location. All right. So any questions about this? Okay, so this is the forum. And if you have questions, you can ask them here. I think even though we're not paying for the course, I think you can still ask questions here. Okay, let's keep going. So installing and using Python. So here's a reading. We strongly encourage you to install it on your computer. But if you do not have a computer where you can install Python, you can still complete this class because we have a version of Python that runs in your browser that is sufficient to do the assignments for this class. So that's they call that their Python playground. So let's look at that. So even if you didn't install Python on your computer, apparently we can do the stuff that we need to do in this particular course in this so-called playground. So this is a blah, blah, blah. Okay. So let's see. Let's click on this link here. Python for Everybody website. I don't think we've seen that yet. So this is the Python for Everybody website. And maybe what is here? Started lessons. Let's click on lessons. Okay, so there are a bunch of lessons here. This is maybe the book. This is his book, and he's offering it for free. So let's look at installing Python, setting up the setting it up in Windows versus Macintosh. And this is his book, I guess. Not very much here, but for that particular issue. But anyway, so that's that book. And anyway, let's go back here again. Okay, and let's close this. And here you can run code. So for example, we can run this code. Now we don't know what this means, right? Does anybody know what this, does everybody know what this stuff means? I don't think so. If you do, you probably shouldn't be taking this class because you don't need to study it. So probably you don't know what this means, and you don't exactly know what this means, but this one you do know what it means. We did this already. So that's just the print hello. So we could delete the other stuff, but let's just leave it in and let it run, even though we don't know what it's going to do. But you can, let's just test this code, or I'm sorry, test this environment to see if it works. So run it. Okay, so I guess from here to here did this. So we don't know how that worked, but this we do know how. So we saw hello. So if I say hello APU, I hope that it will do that. Hello APU. Okay, so this is, you could do the programming for this class in here, for this Coursera class in here. That doesn't mean you can do the programming for our class in here. We may have stuff that won't actually run in here for some reason. Now, just to mention, you can look for free online, what should I say, Python, maybe we want IDE, means like editor. Let's try that. So how about this one and this one maybe? Let's see what happens. Let's check this. Okay, so here it looks like you can also run your code in here. So I don't know how free it really is. It says sign up, but it looks like you could run like print hello. Let's see, and look, it gives you all this help also. And let's do run. Okay, so it looks like you can run your code in here. So I just looked for free online Python IDE, or maybe editor. Here's another one. So maybe you can also run your code here. Let's try running. And yeah, you get the result down here. Okay, so there are various ways that you can get around if your installation for Python is not working, but we definitely want to work with Python on our own computers. We want to know how to do that, because this is limited what we can do here. We want to know how to do it. We just want to know how to do what the standard way of running Python. So we want to understand that. So, but nevertheless, you can use these online systems, including this one. Okay, so going back to here, that was that reading. And now when we want to do editing of a code, if we have a program and we want to edit it, we want to change it, we want to type something else in the program, we can download this this editor, and this is the one he recommends. There are so many. This one down here, you can see I use often. I think I mentioned this before. I use this often, but for some reason on this computer that I bought a little while ago, it crashes my computer. I have no idea why, but you know, I can type some Python code here, print hello, right? and I can save this file and run it in Python. But it also does the kind of highlighting that I would like. Now, right now, it's not doing the highlighting I would like. That's because I didn't save it as a Python file. In other words, as a .py as with the ending. I could do this, save as, hello .py, and then that, I think this will change the highlighting. But there's another way to do that, and that is to go to language up here and look for Python and set it as, tell it, this is Python code. So, so highlight it like it's Python code. So now, it changes, it says, okay, I'm going to take text or strings and highlight it in gray. And I think you can change the schemes. So maybe you could make this purple or something like that if you wanted to. And I'm going to take what we call a function and highlight it in blue. So you can do that as well. But anyway, I probably won't use this because it has been crashing my computer. And he suggests using this one, and we can use that one as well. Okay, so let's go on to here, and let's watch this video, and then we'll continue with what we're going to do. Just a second.
So welcome to this week. Last week we talked about like the theory of programming and computer science and the Macarena and all that kind of stuff, and that's cool. But now we're going to start writing programming, writing programs using Python. And one of the things we're trying to encourage you to do is install Python and run it, because sooner or later you are going to have to do that, right? You're going to have to install it and run it. We've got a bunch of videos, but in courses 1 and courses 2, you don't actually have to do that. Now we know that some people are using iPads or Chromebooks or something else, and you can install Python. And maybe you're at a school that can't install Python. So it's great that you can write Python programs using software we've provided in the browser. And we have this Python playground. And so as you go through the course, you'll find assignments that you have to do. But what this is this is an ungraded assignment, Python Code Playground. And so it's launched externally using a technology called Learning Tools Interoperability. So it's going to pop this open in a new tab. So you see that it's in a new tab, right? And it's the Python Playground. Now, this is kind of like the AutoGrader, except it has no expectations, and you can write any code that you want. Okay, and so let me hit the reset code button, and you can always go back to the default code, and this is the code that's there for you. And if I want to run it, I can just say, go ahead and run this code. Right? And so the code runs and the output's over here. So it actually ran the Python and the code came out over here. Now this is a file. This is like chapter 7. It's even from course 2. So the default code here is probably not what you want to play with. You can play with something like print play exclamation point and run that. And so it runs the code and then your output comes here. Now there are 3 files, which is later, chapter 7 and later, that you can use. These are the sample files that we use throughout a lot of the assignments in the book. And away you go. And so you can do whatever you want here. It's not being graded. There's no grade being sent back to Coursera. And so away you go. And if you're writing Python on your laptop or your computer, you're way better to just learn how to do Python there and then paste the code into the AutoGraders later. But if you have no access whatsoever, that's why we give you the Python Playground. If you want to do this in Python 2, because the course is taught in Python 3, there's a little button down here that says switch to Python 2. And so you can run Python 2 code in here as well. If you know Python 2, in the first 10 weeks of the class, you can actually switch back and forth between submitting your assignments in Python 3 and Python 2. But in this case. Now the other thing that's cool about this is that you aren't going to see this button. You're not going to see any of those buttons. This View Student Code allows our teaching staff to take a look at your code. And so we don't allow you to paste code into the forums So what you can do is you can ask for help in the forums, and the teaching staff can go in and view the student code, type in your name or email, and then find the code that you last put in. So you can put something in here and get some help on it. The teaching assistant can see your entire code, they can run your code, they can do all kinds of things. And so it's a great way to communicate with the teaching assistant. You sort of leave your code in the playground, you ask the teaching assistant, and then they go take a look at your code and give you some answers. When you're all done, you simply press done, and we're back to week 2. But like I said, I really would personally prefer that you build the skills in running Python on your laptop as quick as possible. But if that's not practical for you, then that's why we have the Python Playground here in courses 1 and 2.
Okay, so so over here on the left, he has install for Windows and for Python. So I'm going to play the one for Windows right now. If you're a Mac user, you should follow the instructions for the Mac. But let's just play this. A little bit long, but let's see. Maybe we won't go through the whole thing, but let's see.
And so for me, one of the things you got to figure out in Windows is how to make sure. Hello, and welcome to my video that shows how to get started and install Python on Microsoft Windows. Okay, so it's not too hard. We're going to both install Python 3, and we're going to install a text editor. And so I'm just going to go into Google, and I'm going to say install Python 3. And my top link is downloading Python. And there is my link for downloading Python 3.5.2. This version of my class uses Python 3. I have an earlier class that you may have seen that uses Python 2, but in this class we're going to do this. Now it might take you a while to download this. I've actually already downloaded it. Now the other thing we need is a programmer text editor. And you can really use any programmer text editor. We've used Notepad+ in the past. We've used JEdit in the past. I like Atom, Atom.io, T-O-M.io, mostly because it works the same on Windows and Mac and Linux. But you can really use any text editor that you like. Just don't use Word or text edit that comes with the operating system. You need a programming editor that doesn't mess with weird characters or weird lines or strange formats. You must have a real programmer editor. So I've already downloaded this as well. And so I won't waste the time waiting to download it, but let's go ahead and do the installation. So these things ended up in my downloads file. So I'll go to downloads, and I'll start installing Python 3.5.2. Now it's going to ask me some things. Add Python 3.5 to the path.
Okay, so here is what we were talking about earlier, where you can add it to the path. Okay, so then hopefully it will find it. So let's see what he does.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Install the launcher for all users. I'm going to add that. Maybe you will, maybe you won't do that. It's going to tell me where it's going to install it.
So now you can see up here where it's installed. So you can see like it's C users, mine was Willie, and then this, and then this, and then this, and this, and this. So it's useful to try and remember where it's installed, just because sometimes you have to look for it.
Install now. Of course, it's going to ask me for permission to do these things. And now it's running through the installation. Okay, so there we go. You could maybe click on this online tutorial and documentation, but we're just going to close this. And I'm going to start and run the Windows command line. Now, you may have all kinds of...
Okay, now let me ask, is there anybody who hasn't done this yet? Is there anybody in the class who hasn't done this yet? Okay, good.
Of fancy ways to run Python, but I like running the command line, C-O-M-M-A-N-D. I like running the command line because after a while it's important to know what folder things are being run in. And so here's this command line, and I should be able to type Python here. And so now I'm in Python 3.2, and this is the chevron prompt here is the Python interpreter, where it's asking for Python commands, and I can say print hello world. Of course, this is what we tend to print all the time. I can make a mistake. I can say right, and it'll complain to me. Now to get out of this, I can either type Control-Z or quit. In this case, I'm going to type Control-Z, and I'm back to the prompt. A couple of things. I can do a dir to see what folders and files I have, and that is like my desktop.
Okay, we talked about this last time, that you can find out, you can type this command here, dir, and you can see what's in this current folder. He's in this folder, and so you can see what's in there.
And then the cd command tells.
And we talked about that. cd changes the, actually didn't change anything, but let's see.
Tells me where I'm at in the folder. That means I'm in the users directory, Dr. Chuck. Okay, so I have now installed Python. I ran the Python interpreter to verify it. I said print hello world. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually install Atom. I already had this downloaded, so let's go ahead and install Atom on my computer. Bigger. I can make it bigger.
Oh, he opens up. Well, let's go back a little bit.
Now installed, and it's kind of telling us what to do. I'm going to actually just close all these windows, close this window, close everything, and I'm going to create a file. I'm going to say print, in this case, let's see if I can make this bigger. I can make it bigger. So I'm going to type print hello from a file. Okay, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to say file, save as, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to make a folder on the desktop. I'm going to call this folder py4e. So I now have a folder on the desktop. Move this here. I'll move this here. Oops. And I'm going to go into py4e.
So, by the way, py4e means, py means Python for everyone. So that's why he gives it that name.
Then I'm going to name this file first.py. And you'll notice that when I save this, it syntax highlighted it. That's one of the nice things about a programmer editor. Okay, and so it says, oh, it's got a suffix of .py, so therefore it knows that it's supposed to look pretty with Python and make this one color, make this another color. The other thing that you'll notice is that I now have a folder called py4e. And if I'm in this command line, let me just start that up again. I'll show you how to start the command line again. Command. Now, if I do a dir, I see the folders that I'm in, and one of the folders that you can see here is the desktop folder. So I'm going to say cd desktop, and then I'm going to type the dir command to see what folders are in the desktop. These folders are the same as these folders. These things are kind of virtual folders. py4e is py4e. Now I can type cd, which stands for change directory, py4e, and I can do a dir, and now you see first.py, and that's the same as if I'm diving into this folder. Here's this file, first.py. Windows hides the suffix, which is somewhat annoying and frustrating, but that suffix is there, that file is there. And so for me, one of the things you got to figure out in Windows is how to make sure that you are in the same folder, users, Dr. Chuck, desktop, py4e, and that's the name of this file, and here as well. And now I'm going to run this program. I'm going to type Python first.py. And you see that it ran the Python code.
Okay, so let's try that, everybody, together. Okay, so let's try and do what he did. So I believe I already have Atom on my computer. So I'm going to open up Atom, hopefully. And like he said, I'm going to click no here for now. And like he said, there is some way to close this one here. So I'm going to close this. And I don't know why there's a split in this window, but We'll close this. I don't know what this is doing, but probably some kind of, can change that with view or something like that. I don't know. Okay, anyway, so let's, does everybody have their Atom program or Atom editor open? Does everybody have that?
Professor?
Yes.
I don't have Atom installed on my computer.
Okay. Well, I think that it would be nice if we all had the same editor, but do you have another editor on yours?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay, well, I think we said we installed Atom last week, didn't we?
No, I don't think so.
Really? How about other people? Did we install Atom last week or not?
I don't remember us doing this, downloading M, sir.
Oh, okay. So I must be confused. Okay, so let's install Atom then. It's very simple. So let's do it. So just look for Atom, ATOM. I think try atom.io. Try that. Or Atom Editor or something like that. Atom.io, though, I think is the location. Yeah. So you just download it here. It recognizes that I'm on Windows, but I guess if you're on Mac, it should recognize that. So you just download it, just like you do any other program, and install it. So go ahead. I'm not going to install it on mine, but you can. I already have it. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you install it, and then open it up. I'll give you a minute to do that, I guess. So I guess it takes a while to download it, and then it says it's going to install it. Oh, now I remember, yeah. It takes a long time for this program to install. Actually, I don't know what's in it. Must be big. Takes quite a long time. So maybe while we're waiting for it to install, because it does seem to be taking a really long time. So while we're waiting for that, let's see what else he does here. Well, while we're waiting for that, let's open up our command prompt for a moment. If you have a Mac, it should be the terminal, but in Windows, it's the command prompt. And just notice where you are where it's the default location for the command prompt. So does anybody have a default location different than mine? Okay, now don't forget, I think I mentioned last time, but the TA is checking for your participation, and we have bonus points for participation. So if you answer questions or ask questions, you get bonus points. So that's a incentive for students to participate in class. So once again, I'll ask it again. Does anybody have anything different than mine in terms of location?
Excuse me, sir. I think I have like a different version with yours.
Different what?
Different version.
Okay, what do you have?
So like my version ends with 959, but seems like yours is ends with
You mean up here?
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's possible. I don't know. That's like your version of Windows. Okay, but what else? Is there anything else different besides that?
And also for like username,
Yeah.
there's like a slash for yours, but mine has a different like
So
language.
what does yours say?
For mine, I have like a one sign for the like Korean currency. There's
Okay.
like a one sign for my username.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that it's going to like be
Yeah,
different.
so in other words, right here you have a different sign?
Yeah, like seems like everything is kind of similar, but I don't know how it works.
Or is it, or here you have a different sign?
Yeah. For the slash, I have different signs.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have a Japanese computer, it doesn't show up as a slash. It shows up as a yen sign. And I guess for Korean, it shows up as a won sign. But in if you're using English, it shows up as a slash. Okay, but that doesn't matter.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay, good. Anybody else have anything different? Anybody else? Okay, so you can see where you're located. So I'm in my users folder called Willie. And if I do dir like he did, directory, now in Mac, I think the command is ls for listing or something. So dir though, and you can see that you can see the different files and folders. So one of them is desktop. So I'm going to do what he did, which is cd, change directory, cd, to desktop, DES. Now, if I don't remember how to spell it, I can try hitting the tab key now, and it fills it out for me. So if I do that, CD desktop, now I'm in the desktop. Now, what did he do next? I think he did make directory. Did he do that? No. How did he do that? I forget. Well, there's two ways that we can do. We can put a new directory on the desktop. One is just go to your desktop. How do I do that? Used to be something I could click down here. I don't know. Go to here maybe. No. Anyway, I guess I just collapse everything and right click just like and make a new folder. So that's one way. You can make a new folder called, let's call it Python HW for Python homework. But I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to do it this way. So you can do it from here by typing the make directory like this, mkdir, make a directory, space, Python HW. I'll use HW. Like that.
Professor,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for me, when I type desktop, it doesn't show up. So I was wondering if desktop has to be in users C, right? Like the files that show up, like there's no desktop in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Let me just do this, and then I'll check with that. So I'm going to make this desktop folder. Let's see if it works. Okay, so now if I do dir in desktop, let's see if I made that folder. let's see if there's a Python HW. So is it there? Python, anybody see it? Directory in your folder. Python. Here it is, Python HW. Okay, so it's there. So I was able to create that. Now, what did you say? You said you were in,
I followed
let me go
the first
CD,
step.
let me go back. I mean, this will take me up one level. CD up one level, so I'll do that. So now I'm in Willie. So when you type dir like that, right? That's what you said?
Yes, and then like
And
the list that shows desktop isn't there. And then I tried
oh, okay,
typing
so
dir
tell me,
and
can you
and desktop.
read me some things that are in there?
Yeah, sure. It has documents, downloads, favorites,
Okay, oh,
Python,
wait, hold on.
Atom,
So it has documents,
but
but it doesn't have
yes,
desktop.
no, it doesn't.
Oh, that's weird. That's very strange. You're using Windows? Of course.
Yes,
Which, Windows 10?
yes.
Which seems like everybody would have the same. That wouldn't be
Is there
different for
any
anybody.
reason for my desktop to not be in user C?
So let me just make sure. Can you read me what this prompt says for you?
It says my name
What? I can't hear you.
and
Say that again?
it says my name, user slash
No,
my name,
or just, okay, but say from the beginning.
C
Yeah,
slash it has the dot dot. I don't know what it says.
colon, called a colon.
Yeah, colon slash users.
Okay, by the way, slash, let's use the right word. So that's called a forward slash.
Forward slash. Okay.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
A forward slash, users forward
Yes.
slash, and then my name,
What's your name?
Nilima. So it just writes NILIM,
Okay.
and that's it.
And then it has this prompt symbol here, right? Yeah, like the little angle.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, and then if you type dir, you should. Okay, let's just do it. Let's just say, or let's just try this. Type cd like I did. Okay. Then space. Okay.
Yes.
And then type capital D ESKTOP. Capital D. And then desktop.
Yeah, that's what I did. I
Okay,
tried
now
doing
what
it the way
happens?
you
What
said.
happens?
The system cannot find the path
Okay,
specified.
okay, that's weird. Okay, I don't know why that is. It's unusual. But instead of doing that, then in that case, instead of doing that, type this, documents. Is that what it's called, documents?
Yes.
Documents, yeah. Okay, how about that? Can you do that?
Yeah, sure.
Did that work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so now you're in the documents folder, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's okay. You can, I don't know why, I don't know where your desktop is, but anyway, you can still do the make directory, mkdir space, make directory, mkdir space, and then just give it a name like Python HW. Okay, and you're going to make a directory in your documents folder instead, okay?
Okay.
All right?
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes.
So I wonder where your,
Professor,
yeah.
so could you show me how to do this in Mac?
No, I can't. I mean, I could, but I just look for this here in the Mac user here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't have Mac running here, and I'm not even very good at Mac. I mean, I could figure it out. We could figure it out, but I'm not that good at Mac. So I think it's just better if you just go through this here. I'm sure it'll be
Okay.
very clear. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Professor.
Should be very clear. I'm sure it will be clear. So anyway, going back to where in the video. Okay, now that we've done that, and now I'm sure everybody has Atom installed, and let's close this thing here, this intro, and let's close this welcome guide also, and let's create a file where it says print, like something like what he did, and don't forget you need the quotation marks, hello APU or something like that. Okay, so just a simple, we just want to test our ability to get the file running. So just something with very simple like this. And let's go to File and save it and give it a name. Now, the question is, where are we going to put it? So where should we put it? Can somebody tell me where I should put it?
Into the Python HW folder that we just
Yeah,
made.
yeah, right. Into the folder we just made. So, right. So we have to navigate to that folder, wherever it is, Python HW. So if you put it in documents, then go there. And then let's call it hello.py. So you have to put the .py there. So then your computer will know that what you've made here, this file, is meant for Python. Okay? So don't forget that .py. So your computer will know that what you're doing is made for Python. So then click Save. And like he said, it makes colors and so on. Right? So then we have that. And now, so I can just close this Atom editor. And let's just see if I actually saved it in the right place. So I'll go to my desktop and go to that folder that we created, which was called Python HW, homework. And I see that it's there. Okay, now you should see that it's there too. Now some of you won't see the .py at the end. Is there anybody that doesn't see the .py at the end?
I don't see the .py.
I can't see.
Yeah, so that's a choice. You can tell your computer to always show the file extension. That's called that file extension. You know, like if it's Excel, then the file extension is like XLS or XLSX or something. So anyway, computers don't show that, or sorry, Windows computers don't show that by default. But I don't like that. So you can change it like this. You go to View. So in your File Explorer up here, you go to View. Everyone get there? View?
I'm sorry, Professor. I'm using MacBook, and I think the one default in the MacBook one is Python 2.7 something. So I think I still need to install Python 3.
Right, I think you do too. So you'll follow the instructions that he gives you, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, for Windows users, does everyone click on this View button up here? I want to show you how you can show this .py. Now you don't have to do this, but I like it. So I want to show you how to do it anyway. So View, everyone get there? View? Okay, what you do is you click on here on Options. Options. And that brings this up. Does anybody not get there? I mean, among the Windows users, is there anybody who hasn't gotten here yet? Okay, next you go to view again, here, view. And then down in here, they have this thing where it says hide extensions for known file types. So it's about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th entry here. About the 10th entry. It says hide extensions. So if you have that clicked, then that's why you won't see the .py, because it hides the extension. It's called the file extension name. So I make mine unchecked, and then I apply it to all my folders here. Apply this to all your folders, so not just this one folder here, but for all of the folders. And now it will always show you the file extensions. So if it's an Excel file, it'll show you the file extensions to Python file, and so on. So if you don't want that, you don't need to do it this way. But I don't know, it seems to be easy, better. Okay, is that clear to everybody? Okay, so now you can see the file extension. Anyway, now we can see that we have this program called hello Python, hello.py, right? Okay, now let's go back and see what he did next. So well, let's see what he does here.
Hello world. Of course, this is what we tend to
Wait, I think we did this
all
already.
day. I can make a mistake. I can say my computer. Save as. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop. And I'm going to make a folder on the desktop. I'm going to call this folder PY4E. So I now have a folder on the desktop. Move this here. I'll move this here. Oops. And I'm going to go into PY4E. And then I'm going to name this file first.py. And you'll notice that when I save this, it syntax highlighted it. That's one of the nice things about a programmer editor. Okay, and so it says, oh, it's got a suffix of .py, so therefore it knows that it's supposed to look pretty with Python and make this one color, make this another color. The other thing that you'll notice is I now have a folder called py4e. And if I'm in this command line, let me just start that up again. I'll show you how to start the command line again. Command. Now, if I do a dir, I see the folders that I'm in, and one of the folders that you can see here is the desktop folder. So I'm going to say cd desktop, and then I'm going to type the dir command to see what folders are in the desktop. These folders are the same as these folders. These things are kind of virtual folders. py4e is py4e. Now I can type cd, which stands for change directory, py4e. Now I can do a dir, and now you see first.py, and that's the same as if I'm diving into this folder. Here's this file, first.py. Windows hides the suffix, which is somewhat annoying and frustrating, but that suffix is there, that file is there. And so for me, one of the things you got to figure out in Windows is how to make sure that you are in the same folder, users, Dr. Chuck, desktop, py4e, and that's the name of this file, and here as well. And now I'm going to run this program. I'm going to type Python first.py. And you see that it ran the Python code.
Okay, so let's try that now. Okay, so we have our command prompt here, and we want to go to where we just put that file that we created. So we just created a file in the Atom editor. So we want to go to where that is. So as I recall, we have to go to desktop. So cd desktop. Let's see, if I just type those letters, I wonder if I can hit the tab key and if it will know what I mean. Yeah, so even that, I didn't have to do capital. So cd desktop, And then what now I want to, I think it was Python homework. So I'll go CD, PY. Let's see if it will guess what I want. I'll just type PY and then I'll hit the tab key. Yeah, it guessed. So there it is. So now I'm in the folder that I created, and there should be a file in there for this little program that we wrote. So let's check to see that that file is there. How do I check to see if the file is there? Can somebody tell me?
You type dir.
Yeah,
and
dir.
enter
Okay, good.
directory.
Right. dir, directory. Okay. So then it gives me a bunch of stuff here. But anyway, it does say that I have, I don't know what 20 means. I guess that's the size of it. It does say I have hello.py there. Okay, so like he did, we can try to run this program. So what did he do? He just typed Python. That means he wants Python to run it. So he just types Python and then the name of this file. So let's try it, hello.py. Now I'm pretty sure that you have to have the py there for it to work, but actually I'm going to try it without it. Let's see what happens if I leave it out. Let's see what happens. No, doesn't know what that is. So I have to type it Python. Oh, by the way, instead of retyping everything, I can, instead of doing the retyping, I can hit the up arrow key on my keyboard. The up arrow key, that gives me the last command that I typed. So I'll hit it. So there it is, but that wasn't right, but I can just edit that, just add .py there. Hopefully that will work. So let's try it. Hit enter. Okay, so it worked. So we got Python installed on our computer, and we ran a file, a program. We ran a program that was saved in a file, and it was saved in a file on our desktop, in a folder on the desktop called Python HW, and we navigated to that folder, and then we could run that program. Does everyone get the logistics here? How to get this going? Okay, by the way, I will try to share this class video so that you can go back and review it. However, I always find that whenever I make videos and I put them on YouTube or, well, anyway, okay. Anyway, that will be available to you. Okay, so we did that. Let's see, his video is almost finished. Let's see what he says.
Another way you can do this is you can type first.py. And that's because this file association has happened in Windows. This doesn't work in Macintosh. This only works in Windows. That all files with .py are expected to be Python, and it knows the Python interpreter where to run it. Okay? And so I've got Python 3.0 installed, and that gets me started. And so I hope that this...
Let's try that. I always forget that that's possible. He said you don't actually have to type Python at the beginning, because the name of the file is .py. So because it's .py, Windows will know that that's a Python file, so it won't, you don't actually have to tell it. So let's try that, hello.py, like that. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it worked. Seems like it took a little bit longer. Like, I had to think about it or something. Okay, anyway, it seems to have worked. And
this little introduction about getting things started and writing your first Python program has been helpful to you.
Okay, so that was good. And as I said, you should be able to get just as much information from the Macintosh tutorial as you get from this. Okay, so you,
Professor?
Yeah.
Earlier you tried it without the Python suffix, right?
Yeah.
the Python space hello.py. For me, it didn't work. I have to have the Python suffix beforehand.
No, it didn't work for me either.
Oh, sorry.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, now here's another tip that he gives us. So you should, let's watch this. I think most of you know about this, but let's just watch it anyway.
Hello, and I'd like to talk to you about how to use the snipping tool to do a screen capture. There are other ways to do this, but the easiest way is the built-in screen tool. And I'm doing this on Windows 8. The snipping tool exists on earlier versions of Windows as well. And so the gestures and the UI might look a little different, but it's about the same. You find the snipping tool. So I'm going to hit the Windows icon, and I'm going to type the SN, and it brings up the snipping tool. And so here I go.
Okay, so this is just a Windows little thing that you can use. They call it a tool or a utility. Anyway, it's just something you can use to take snapshots of what's going on in your screen. So first of all, I don't know if I said this in our first class, but let me say it now. First of all, actually, okay. So if you have a question, you're going to ask the TA, not me. So if you have a question during the week, you're having some problem, you're going to ask the TA. Now, I haven't given you the TA's. I don't think I've given you the TA's email address yet, but we'll do that. And the other thing is, but when you ask a question, if you expect an answer, you have to do a few things. So one is you have to be very clear about the class that you're taking, because oftentimes I just get a question from a student and they don't tell me what class it is. You know, I'm teaching like 6 different classes, so I don't know, you know, I mean, usually I can tell if it's programming or some math class, but I have multiple classes and sometimes it's hard to know. So if you don't say clearly the day and everything, the name of the class and so on, then don't expect to get an answer. Certainly don't expect to get an answer quickly. Okay, so you have to say all of that clearly, and then hopefully you'll also put your problem clearly and maybe say what you tried to do clearly. And then one more thing which you may not want to do, but you should send me a picture of you. Sorry, send me a picture of you so that I know who I'm talking to. So if you don't do that, then you may not get an answer, or you may not get an answer quickly. Now, like I said, basically first you should ask the TA, and if they can't help you, then they're going to pass it on to me. Okay, so please follow that so-called protocol when you're asking questions. Now here he's telling us if you want to take a picture of your screen, like if you're having a problem and you want to take a picture of it, you can use this snipping tool. So let's, now in Mac, there's a different way.
Go, and it's giving me this option to say snipping tool, and I'd like to say I'm going to do a new window snip. And now it's kind of graying out the screen and following me around with this little red line, and I click on this and it has made a copy of that window. Now this is snipping tool is just the snipping tool. That window still exists, but this is now, oh, I didn't want to do that. This is now just a drawing tool that's so and so here you are. We could save this, but the other thing you can do, and this is in the more recent snipping tools, is you can make changes. So let's say, for example, you didn't want to show your name, and your name was in this path, and so I will just go and scribble my name out, like with this little scribbling tool. Pretty sweet, huh? So there I scribbled my name out. I just happened to have my name in it, so I didn't want to put it in. So now I'm going to do File, Save As, and of course find somewhere. I'm going to put this on my desktop, and I'm going to call it notepad.png. Now you don't have to put the suffix of .png or JPEG, but it's good if you're moving files between systems to put these suffixes on. You know, Windows would know this was a PNG file, but .png is a way to nicely tell other systems when you're moving it around that it's a PNG file, or if you send it as an email or whatever. So I save it. I'm saving it on my desktop, and there we go. So it's hiding the .png, but I can look to make sure the PNG is really there, and so there it is. It's a .png, and so there's a file, and away we go. Okay. So there's the snipping tool. If I close this window and I click on Notepad, you will see that it's got the little scribbling thing. Thank you for that. Okay, so there you go. That's how to do a real simple snipping tool.
Okay, now I'll just show you one other nice tool that you can use, and that is if you go to a website called Screencast-O-Matic. So if you go to Screencast-O-Matic, okay, I'll just show you this in case you want to use it. So then you click on Screen Recorder. Screen Recorder. And here you can make a short video of your screen. So that can be useful if you're having some problem and you can't really, it's hard to explain to somebody else. You can actually just make a little video of what's going on. So what you do is you just click this launch free recorder. And then it says loading. And then it says download. And once it downloads, you can open it. So I'll open it. Now on Mac, you can do this without downloading any extra software. You have the ability to record your screen as a video right in Mac, but in Windows you don't have that. But you can use a tool like this. So now it's launched, and this thing here shows what is going to be recorded, and you can drag it. If you click here, you can drag it, make it bigger or smaller. So that's what's going to be recorded, and this is the way to move it around on the screen. You click on this thing in the middle here. And then once you get it to be where you want, now if you want to be, if there's something, the sound that you also, I'm sorry, the sound of your computer, like if you're playing a YouTube video and you want to record that, you would click this and make sure that it's recording your computer sound as well. But right now it's recording my mic, but not recording my computer sound. That's okay. So you can see that it's recording my mic because you can see that this is changing. And then you can just click record. So you click record, it counts down to there, and now it's recording. So if I click on something else, you know, it changes the screen, and it's 6 seconds so far, and so on. And if I stop and I click done here, it was only a 10-second video, so shouldn't take long to process it. So if it's a long video, it takes a long time to process it, but 10 seconds is not long. So I click done, and here you don't want to edit it. You don't want to do this. You just want to save it. You click that, and it brings up this, and you have to tell it where have to say you want to save it as a video file, and then you have to tell it where. So a folder, so here in Documents, and you have to give it a name. Maybe this will work, but usually, okay. So it's going to be an MP4 file, and then you click Publish. And it really goes quickly because it was such a short folder. I'm sorry, such a short recording. And then you can either play it or browse to the folder or just get the path to the folder. So I'll browse to the folder where it is. And I'm done here, so I can close this. And it says it has some recordings or something, but We don't care about that. So here, I can close the application altogether, I think. Yeah. And then here it is, recording 2, and you can just play it. There, and now it's recording. So if I click on something else, you know, it changes the screen, and it's 6 seconds so far, and so on. And if I stop, okay, so you can see that you can make a screen recording if you need to. And sometimes that can be useful if you're trying to explain some problem to somebody. You can just make a recording like that and then send this. This is a pretty small file because it's so short. You can easily send that by email. Okay? Okay, so that's just useful. That was called Screencast-O-Matic. All right, now we have installed Windows, and we have, I think, finished chapter 2 in this course. So for next week, you're going to go to chapter 3. Oh, let's see, we don't have much time for the quiz, but we'll do the quiz now. Anyway, for next week, we're going to do this. And I'm going to ask you to go through chapter 3. Okay, and you're going to have some more material to cover in the W3 schools that we are having the quiz on right now. Okay, so let's have the quiz now, and it's going to be you're going to feel like it's rushed. You're not going to feel like you have enough time to do it. Okay, so but don't worry. I mean, everybody's going to be in the same position, so you know, it'll be graded on a curve based on that. Okay, so anyway, go to Manaba. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but go to, well, I'll show you just where it is. Well, no, I'll stop sharing my screen and go to Manaba and go to our class, which is called Programming Cluster Fall 2020. And I will turn on the test, the quiz, just a quiz. And then just a few questions, but as I said, you're only gonna have like 2 minutes to do the whole thing. So you're gonna feel rushed, okay? So I understand that you're gonna feel rushed. So like I said, just do your best and don't, you know, if you can't answer all the questions or whatever, this is gonna be graded on a curve so that maybe nobody will get all of the answers correct. Okay, I will turn it on now, and you should see when I turn it on in the test section. So you should refresh your page, and in the test administration section, you should see quiz W3 schools week 2, and you should do that. Okay, that's all the time you have. So please submit your answer right now. If you're late, you won't be able to submit it. So submit it right away, immediately, now, right away, immediately. No waiting. And I will shut it off now. So if you don't have it in there, you're not going to be able to submit it. I'll count down 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, anybody who didn't submit it won't get credit. No complaining.
Excuse me, Professor. When can we see the results? Can I ask?
I think when you entered it, when you submitted it, didn't it show you the result?
No, it didn't.
Okay, okay, you'll see the result. Actually, let's look at it right now, so you can let's do that right now. Let's see, where is that? Where's my? Let's go through the answers here. Share my screen. Okay, let's check it. Okay, to get the output hello world, what needs to be added to this? So what's the answer?
Print.
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 Print, right, good. Okay, print. Okay, what will we see if we run this?
Number 1.
Hello world.
So,
None of these, because it misses the comma. All the answers.
okay, you're right, but actually I was wrong. So I gave the wrong answer. This is what I expected, so I'll have to fix that. So he's right, though, actually. There was no comma. So all of them are wrong, but I meant this answer. So, okay, thank you, but you're right. But I'll accept this answer or none of these. All right, next one. Which of the following is not true?
The fourth one.
The fourth one, all variable names must be at least 4 characters long. No, that's not true. For example, here we have a variable called x, and that's fine. It's not 4 characters long. So this is wrong. Okay, next one. Suppose we run the following code. What will we see after we enter the last statement? So Python x is assigned to x. Sorry, Python is assigned to x. Awesome is assigned to the variable y, and z is, they call it x plus y. Question is, what does x plus y do? Or, is it wrong? Maybe, it seems like you can't add, this is text and this is text, you can't add them. But Python says, okay, if both of these are text, it will just, you can use this, what they call this operator, you can use it. It obviously doesn't mean, what we normally think of as add, but that it does have a meaning though. It just means combine these two, or they use the word in programming, they use concatenate these two. So it just means concatenate this string and this string. Okay, which gives you what?
None of these.
None of these. So you don't get any error. It works. This works. Okay, which of the variables is global? So they talked about global variables in the tutorial, and so there are 2 variables defined here. Here's a variable. This is the definition of x, and there's another variable here. So maybe one of these is a global, what they call a global variable. Maybe none of them are. So that's a question. Which one, if any, is global? And global means it's not defined within a function. So this is, we haven't learned much about functions and defining them, but this is what we call a definition of a function. This is the name of that function. So the definition of the function goes from here to here. Now, how do I know that it goes from there to there? Because of the indentation. Remember, we said that in Python, indentation is essential. And here, this is indented, and this is indented underneath this line. So that means that this is part of the definition of this thing. So that means that y is defined within the function. And that's what we mean by not global. They call that local, but it's not global. It's only defined inside the function. Now we'll learn much more about what all this means later, but they did tell us that in the tutorial. So I could ask you that right now. And so the answer is this one is global. So this is the answer. Okay, anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so we did that. Now let's go back to W3 schools. And here. Did anybody have any trouble working with W3 schools? Anybody have any trouble? Was it too hard, or it didn't work right, or anything?
No, it worked fine, Professor.
Okay, good. So I think you can really get a quick understanding of some of Python. That doesn't teach you sort of programming principles or something like that, but it gives you this basic stuff very easily. So here it is, Python tutorial. And so now I want you to go and cover data types. So this stuff here, basically data types means, you know, so here you can see that we're defining a variable x. Here we're also defining a variable x. Here we're also defining a variable x. Here we're defining variable x's here. And or here we're defining x. Here we're defining x. Here we're defining x, right? Everyone sees that, right? Now this is a different kind of data type than this, right? What do I mean by that? What's obviously different about this as compared to this?
Hello world is like word, and then
Right.
20 is like number.
Right. So this is like a word, or like we usually we use the word text. It's text, or we use the word actually string. It's a string. You can see that it says str, string. So we usually we say it's text or a string. The best word for it is it's a string, and this is not a string. This is a number. So we distinguish between those. We want, obviously, it's good to be able to distinguish between those two, and so this is called a string variable or a string data type, and this is called a numeric data type. Now we want to distinguish between this type of number and this type of number. What's the big difference between this type and this type?
There's a decimal.
Yeah, there's a decimal. So when we have a decimal, in most programming languages, they call that a float. And if you don't have a decimal, they call it an integer. Now, okay, so, and I guess this is for complex numbers, but we'll never use complex numbers. And then this is called a list, which is pretty obvious why it might be called a list, okay? And this is called a tuple. You know, like in math, we use the word ordered pair. Let's look that up. Ordered pair. Everybody knows what an ordered pair is, but let's just look it up. So here's an ordered pair. right here. X comma Y is called an ordered pair. But you can have X comma Y comma Z. I'm sure everybody's seen that before. X comma Y comma Z. So that's called an ordered triple. An ordered triple. This is called an ordered pair. But you can have an ordered triple. And you can also have more than just 3. So this is an ordered triple. But you can also have 4. You can have comma something else. So that would, they use the word tuple. So multiple, quadruple, multiple, that's where that word comes from. So in general, it's called a tuple. This is a tuple with 3, which we could call a triple, an ordered triple, I guess. But you can have 4 or 5. So in general, they call it a tuple. So the difference between a tuple and a list is that if you use this versus if you use this, and they're used differently. So, it's not like just the symbol is different. They're actually different. Okay? And so we have different data types. And this one is important. When a variable that's either true or false is called a Boolean or a logical data type. But anyway, it doesn't matter what they call it. It's just a variable that can be either true or false, nothing else but true or false. That's a special data type. It's usually called this, a Boolean or bool. That's the name of some guy who lived in the late 1800s, I think, named George Boole, who was kind of, some people say, the father of computer science. But he was really a mathematician and a logician, and his name was George Boole. I think it's B-O-O-L-E. But anyway, when it's a variable that can only be true or false, it's called a Boolean. Okay, so anyway, the important ones for now are string type, this type, which is called integer type, float type, and we'll come to these also, but these are more later. We'll work with these later. But these are the important ones for now. Float, integer, and string. Anyway, that's data type, so you want to do that. And then we want to learn specifically about numeric data types. So integer and float, we don't really need complex, but I guess I also covered that here. And then how you change something from one type to another. So suppose it's already an integer, but you want to change it to a float, you can do that. That's called casting, and you can check that. Here's another type, the string type, and the Boolean type, and operators. So I want you to go up to operators for next time, okay? And chapter 3 in our Coursera course. Okay, is everybody clear about the homework? I'll put it on the website, but is everybody clear about it?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do for next week. And you can see that actually, in terms of this Python course, this stuff here is getting pretty advanced, and we're already getting there. We're getting close to it already. And I don't think you're going to find anything up to here, at least, very hard at all. Okay? And most of this is not going to be very hard. Okay? Python is an easy language to learn, and it's very powerful nonetheless. But of course, you have to learn how to write things of interest, not just learn what it means to be a Boolean, right? There's nothing, you haven't done anything, then you just understand the concept of Boolean or the concept of integer. So that's not exactly programming, but it's a good way to start. Okay? So that's where we are, that's where we're going. We are actually, believe it or not, going to switch to a different Coursera course shortly, but don't worry about that for now. Okay, that's all for today. Okay, see you next time. Don't forget, we will have a quiz on this up to, we'll have a quiz on W3 schools up to operators for next time. Okay?
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, goodbye.
Professor. Excuse me, Professor, can you show the TA's email address, please?
The TA's. Okay, right now you can mail me, but that's only going to be for this last week, and after that you're going to mail the TA. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
But don't forget to do what I said if you do
Yes.
mail me. And I actually, only email me if you must. But if you must, you can.
Okay, I understand.
Professor,
Thank you.
Yes?
can I add you related? Yeah, can I add you related to TA? So currently both I saw me and then Tang is doing TA. So
Right. That's right. Both of you are
yeah.
doing.
Okay. So
Okay.
like
So you are
yeah.
actually, you're supposed to take that attendance. So maybe you didn't do it this time, but
Okay.
you have to do it next time, okay? Okay, so you
Yeah.
have,
So can you please? Yeah.
I send you the list?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'll send you the list.
Yeah.
And also, I need to share your address with everybody, your email address.
Yes.
We'll
I
do
will.
that next time.
Yeah, I will email you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You can send it
Professor,
in the chat next time.
Professor, what am I supposed to do?
I'll have some other stuff for you to do. Did you get email from that organization that I mentioned?
No, I haven't received anything yet.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let's get that worked out first, and then I'll let you know about what you can do.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I will email you regarding. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, goodbye.